What's up, wonderful people? I'm G Storm, and this is day 4. Okay, I gotta be honest, this is not day 4 of working on this boat. It is probably like day 15 or 20. But yeah, ran into a couple of issues, and I'm going to explain it to you right after this introduction. All right, everybody, so before we get started with today's activities of filling in the oil and putting in spark plugs, I just want to show you guys what I had to do the last day or two or so. So this engine, I think is the starboard side, whichever side this is right here, had this starter on it, which I thought the engine was completely fine, but turns out it wasn't. And this engine starter is really rusted and corroded, and so I wound up having to replace it. And you guys can see the new starter right here. Yep. And so we moved to the port side, which is the other side of the boat. This starter was completely off, and the reason why it was off is because the outermost bolt holding the starter up was broken off. I'm gonna insert a picture right here. And yeah, so I have to get very creative to fix that. Still in the process of fixing it, but for now, what I have is a bracket that I got from Glaze Hardware. It goes onto like a back of electrical box, and then I got some threaded rod from Ace, and then I threaded it into the manifold that encloses the flywheel. And yeah, so right now it's holding in place pretty strong until I get a chance to come over here with a stick welder and weld up the hole where the starter bolt is, and put a helical, tap it and put a helical in there. But yeah, but other than that, let's get ready to get started with today's activities. All right, everybody, so this is the oil from the starboard side engine, and then this is the oil from the port engine. All I can do is really pray for this port engine and just hope that it's okay, because that is not looking too good right there. There's a lot of water in that oil. And for the starboard side engine, I tore the oil filter up to try and take it off because they put it on there so tight. I had to wind up using a screwdriver, and then I had to go buy a oil remover wrench. I think it's just an oil wrench. I had to go buy an oil wrench from O'Reilly's, and I was able to finally take it off. But yeah, the difficulties.
Yeah, so I believe at this point I was just a little bit shaken up over the whole water in the oil thing, and I just didn't know what I was going to get in that port side engine. So I didn't do much talking on the GoPro, so I'm doing a voiceover now just to kind of talk and tell you guys what I was doing in the process. So right now I'm filling up the oil filter. We're about to get ready to actually refill all the oil in the engine. As you guys know from the last video, we took all the oil out the engine. But yeah, like I said, we're filling up the oil filter, and we're going to put a little bit of oil around the top of the oil filter just to make sure that it gets a good seal on there. And when we put it on there, we want to make sure that we do not use the oil filter wrench to put it on there. We want to put it on there by hand, so that way the next time it comes off, it'll be very easy and it won't be hard to take off like the first time when I took it off, basically. And I basically destroyed the filter trying to take it off. But yeah, so I'm filling up the second oil filter here, basically doing the same thing. And then in a second here, we're going to get ready to try and put it on the engine and see if we can get it to go up there and keep all the oil in it without wasting more oil in the bottom of the boat. So I filled up both oil filters, and I'm heading to one side of the engine to place the oil filter on one side of the engine. And then I'm going to the other side right after doing this one. A lot of the oil was absorbed into the filter. I mean, that's the functionality of it. A lot of people say that you don't need to necessarily fill the oil filter first, but me personally, I like to fill the oil filter before I crank the engine or do anything with it. So we're putting in the starboard side oil filter right now, but I crawled over to the port side because I'm on the bigger side a little bit, so it's a little hard for me to reach down in there from the starboard side, but from the port side I can get to it pretty good. And right after this, we're gonna move over to the port side and put in the port side oil filter. All right, everybody, so we are about to get ready to tighten up the starboard side. I want to say sorry in advance for using the American flag. As you guys can see, I tightened up the starboard side and made the filter a little tight. I did it by hand. You don't want to use the oil filter wrench, like I said, because it'll make it too tight when you try to take it off, and you wind up kind of basically just destroying the whole filter and probably damaging stuff in the process if you're not real careful while you're doing it. So just tighten it by hand just to be safe. That's my recommendation to you. And we're gonna get ready to move over to the port side. Same thing as the starboard side, just put it on there nice and easy. As it heats up, as the engine runs, it'll get tighter and tighter, and over time it'll get tighter, so you don't really have to worry about tightening it down too tight. And yeah, so after that we're gonna move on and start checking on some spark plugs and see if we can connect some stuff back together and see if we can test out the engine and get it to run. And that's going to be our next step. So now we have finished putting the oil filters on. That was the hard part for a fat boy like me. And now we're about to do the easy part, which is putting the oil in the engine. And it's easy as just putting it in there. Right here I'm putting a little bit of Lucas in there, just because the engine's been sitting so long. I think my uncle recommended me that a while ago. It's been so long. And but yeah, so putting the engine Lucas oil in there just to kind of make sure that the pistons and the bearings and the crank arms all get lubricated very well before we try and crank it over, just because it's, like I said, it's been sitting so long it may have rust on it, and we want to knock that rust off and make sure that everything stays intact. So put in both engines, went half and half, and then the rest we put the regular oil in there. So stay tuned, watch me put the oil in there if that's something that you're interested in. If not, still stay tuned. Alright guys, so we should be about ready to try this. We got the engines oiled up now, and now the only thing we're trying to do now is to put the spark plugs in, and then we're going to test it out. We got some fresh batteries in there, we got a starter that is kind of in there, but it's not a permanent solution, that's just a temporary solution. And yeah, so we're going to see if either engine will run today, and you guys will know. So here we go, let's put in the spark plug wires, and then we're going to see if we can run. Alright everybody, so here's me changing out the spark plugs on the starboard side engine. I did it on both sides because I was going to try both sides today, and that's exactly what I did. I tried both sides, and I would say it's kind of tight, and working on this boat really showed me that I need to lose a little bit of weight so I can fit in the small places, because I can be out in the middle of the water and something can happen, and it could be hours for help before help could come. And so I just need to be able to get down in there and do a little bit of small work and be able to work on stuff without like getting overheated or trying to do something and not being able to do it just because there's not enough space for me to reach it. But I am very determined, and I got this complete, and you guys can watch me put all these in, or you guys can skip a little bit further ahead and watch me try and start it up. Another quick tip that I forgot to mention: whenever you change your spark plugs, whenever you put them in, you don't want to start it with using the wrench. You want to hand start it and then tighten it up with the wrench. You want to get it down pretty much as far as you can with your fingers, or you put like a trick that I learned from an old mechanic was to get a gas line and put it over the end of a spark plug and just twist a gas line and twist it up in there. You want it to go up in there freely and not go up in there super hard, because the next time you try and change the spark plugs, it won't come out so easily. Or if you strip it out real bad, it'll blow the spark plug out the spark plug hole, and you have to do a helicoil there. Really, with the helicoil thing, you probably wind up having to just taking it to a mechanic shop and letting them rebuild it, basically. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm finishing it up here. I'm gonna tell you guys to like, share, and subscribe. If you made it this far in the video, you might as well like, share, and subscribe. We're about to get ready to see if the boat will crank up.
All right, everybody, so we done put the oil in, we done put the spark plugs in, hooked all the spark plugs up, and we're gonna get ready to try it out. I'm thinking because this boat was sitting for a long time, I'm probably gonna have to wind up draining all the fuel out to get it to run, but we're gonna try it out. We're gonna spray some starter fluid on it and see if we can get it to at least do something. Well, at least the starboard engine. Yes, I got the blowers running, guys. All right, we're gonna go up and try it out. That's awesome. So that little starter is the reason why they got rid of the boat, but I came up with a way to actually put it up there and it works. And now I think all I got to do is just empty out the old fuel or maybe put a fuel pump on it and we'll probably be good to go. Hold on. Gotta hip it out, then not running. All right, let's try it. Try it. Try it again. Try it again, cause we gotta get fuel up here. Turn it, keep turning it. Wait. It's a thing that you can do up here to pump the fuel down there. Okay. Pump it again. Try it. You gotta give it a chance to crank. Keep turning it.
Turn it.
Alright guys, so it's not looking like it's going to work, but what I am seeing right here is I'm seeing a little bit of life in the engine, and we're going to try it a couple more times to see if we can get it to crank up and run. But from what I've seen, just taking the oil out, I'm thinking that we're going to have to probably replace this carburetor, just because the engine was basically full of water, and I'm pretty sure that carburetor is full of water, and I think cleaning it wouldn't really do any good, so we're just going to replace it and go with a brand new carburetor. Probably order one off eBay or Amazon. I think eBay has a better deal on them. But yeah, we're gonna try this one more time, and we're gonna move over to the starboard side to see if it'll crank up and run. Which I'm pretty confident that the starboard side will crank up and run, just because it didn't have any water in it, and the oil looked good. It looked used, like it hadn't been changed, but it looked good and like it was ready to run and whatnot. Anyways, let's move over to the starboard side and see what we got.
So my dad's up top. Everybody getting ready to try it out. All right, Dad, go ahead. Yes, sir. See if you can put it in gear.
So after seeing the engines run, my dad wanted to go ahead and change out the fuel filters on the boat engine.
All right. Glad you're back with us, guys. Hey, very critical. The seal that's on top, we want to put a little oil around it. Clean oil, not dirty oil. We want to make sure that that seal gets on tight and secure. So here we go. Let's put the fuel filter back on, and we're going to crank it up after that to make sure that it is not leaking or dripping in any kind of way. Hey guys, one critical thing about putting filters on also is that we only hand tighten. Hand tighten them as much as we can. We don't want to put them on with the wrench, because if we put them on with the wrench, they will be too tight, because that rubber is going to swell up as heat hits it. So, all right, let's get with it. We're going to see if we can crank it up, see if the motor fires up, let it idle for a few seconds, turn it right back off. The reason why I'm going to turn it back off, we don't have the boat sitting in the water or any kind of water hooked up to it. We don't want the engine to run hot. Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
So this is me celebrating after the engine crank up, and I kind of just took it all in and enjoyed the moment from the top of the boat. Well guys, this is the end of the vlog. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. G-Storm out. Much love.